When I was done reading Circe, it wasn't really the mythology or even the feminist angle that fascinated me. Although it can technically be a feminist book, and deservedly so, I found myself connecting with how it explores loneliness and the cost of building a life that doesn't disappear in the absence of love. Circe's journey from craving any sort of connection to being so extremely whole within herself that it seems like she might just be the bravest god to ever exist, not only spoke to me on a human level, but also taught me how I have been living my life, just like millions of other people throughout the world. The book genuinely can be considered a reflection of our solitude and pain. From an early point in the story, Circe comes to the realization that just by being who she is, affection and love are conditional, and the only way to achieve love is to be extraordinary, to be so grand that you simply cannot be ignored. Even with this realization though, she lives in an environment that constantly pushes her identity to the ground. Rising up and finding her identity is not just impossible, it's unimaginable. As the story goes on, her loneliness gradually transforms to solitude. Her banishment seems like a punishment at the moment, but later turns into a form of training ground, where she builds her identity and shapes it as it is manifesting. This change is not motivated by her choice. It comes from the acceptance of pain caused by the very people she loved, by the dismissal of gods, family, and lovers. She goes from not belonging anywhere to creating a world, in a sense, where everything grows as she does. Her environment does not shape her anymore, rather the other way around. I think at this point she isn't comfortable with solitude because she hates everyone or wants to be alone, but because closeness seems to cost her too much. The book is quite honest about this trade-off. Yes, solitude ends up giving her clarity, independence, and a strong identity, but at the cost of her innocence and her trust. It doesn't really mean that healing is swift or painless, but it is a process of trying to be whole while carrying painful scars. One of the most painful ideas in the book is that the deepest wounds come not from strangers, but from people you love. I think the reason to why the pain Circe feels is described as heavy and not cold is because this isolation is shaped by the memory of losing certain versions of herself. Every time she trusts, every time that trust is broken, a small part of her dies. And the grief of losing what you are can be a haunting experience. By the end, her relationship with loss transforms on a drastic level. She goes from losing herself every time there is a loss of connection to not letting that pain dismantle her identity at all. The absence of affection no longer breaks the wall she has built. Losing someone does not make her disappear any longer. This is also why the idea of love changes for Circe. She doesn't reject love, but also realizes that love for her is and should be an experience that enriches her life, but doesn't define it. So for me, this book is about power, yes, but also about learning to live in a way where solitude doesn't have to destroy you. Love and heartbreak should not be your identity. It should be a lesson. As long as you exist, there is one person who can love you the deepest, and that person is you. Thanks for watching.